So look at this. This is from the New York Times. Do you want to know how they manufacture more money to the war machine? This is how the New York Times does it. So let's remember this. This is from December 11th.
Mm-hmm.
On December 11th, the New York Times was saying the American and Ukraine military leaders are searching for a new strategy that they can begin executing early next year to revive Kiev's fortunes and flagging support for the country's war against Russia. That's according to U.S. So that was on the 11th. Watch what they were saying on the 12th. On the 12th, Russia has suffered staggeringly high losses, says U.S. report. That's their headline. Not like there's another bullshit U.S. report that they want us to put on our front page in a headline, and we're not going to. No, they are going to. This is called the War Machine, and they have a death grip on the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, Fox News, ABC News, MSNBC. What do you want to say?
Look at that. The declassified intelligence. Ooh, they declassified
The declassified intelligence assessment also found, you mean the bullshit?
Wait, but it found Russia's objective has been eroding Western support for Ukraine.
Oh.
Hey, Russia, I could save you some money. I never had support for it.
Yeah. And so this is the headline from the New York Times that's trying to they're pretending that somehow Russia is losing. We just got to give a little. We can't give up on this war now. The New York Times says they got a declassified report that says that Russia's really staggering high losses. U.S. report says they give you no other context.
What is that?
And you know what? And we know that 80% of the people don't read the article. 80% of the people read the headline. And so now, when I go to a dinner with 3 Boston comics, they're going to go, I'm enjoying watching Putin get his ass kicked across Ukraine, because they don't know a fucking thing.
It's very Boston of them too, by the way.
To not want to know anything?
To not know anything, but be real confident about it?
Yes. Yes.
Oh yeah, this is why when you talk to libs, they're in a parallel universe. They're in a parallel universe. I had that the other day. Somebody said to me, "Yeah, Putin got more than he bargained for." What the fuck are you talking about? They're down to the nursing homes in Ukraine. They have nobody left to fight. You can't manufacture more people.
Russia's, what's their average age of Russian infantry? And then I'll know if they had staggeringly high losses.
So this guy is Jim Sciutto. He's a CNN anchor and chief national security analyst at CNN. He tweeted out this article and he quotes this: "The losses are just staggering. In less than 2 years, at the start of the war, Russia army stood at 360,000 troops. Russia has lost 315,000 of them." They're just repeating talking points that come directly from the CIA and the State Department. They're not one critical bone in the no. How do you hey kids, do you want to know how you become an anchor on CNN and the chief national security officer? What you do is you repeat anything the State Department tells you, and you act like that's news, and you're on the inside somehow because you read a memo.
I have a question.
Uncritically.
If they had such staggeringly high fucking losses, how are they going to invade NATO in Europe?
That's right.
Right?
How is that possible that we have to worry? Okay, looks like their army is gone. We can get the hell out because they've suffered staggering losses.
According to this number, 360 minus 315 is 345. So they only have 45,000 soldiers left.
I know.
According
Ukraine's
to
only lost 70,000.
And we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. So
so why isn't Ukraine just rolling them up?
Well, exactly. Why haven't they taken back more of their land?
Because they need more money from you. If you could just help them get over the hump.
Just give them over that.
They're so close.
Just need a little something to get to Monday. The Russians' push in eastern Ukraine this fall and winter was designed to sap Western support for Ukraine. According to a newly declassified American intelligence assessment, the drive has resulted in heavy losses, but has not led to strategic gains on the battlefield. Yet, Russia has all the territory it wants. I wish I would have that map where I could show you. They wanted to have a direct line to the sea. They got it. They wanted to get the Donbass. They got it. There's nothing else they want. They have Crimea. They have everything they want. And guess what? Ukraine ain't getting it back. It's over for Ukraine. Okay.
Oh, he was an Obama appointee's chief of staff and senior advisor.
Who was?
This guy, the Jim Sciutto.
Oh,
He's
you're kidding.
Yeah, he's an Obama.
So he was an appointee in the Obama administration?
He shouldn't even be working in journalism at all.
Since the beginning of the war, Russia has suffered from a staggeringly high number of losses. So whatever they're saying, the exact opposite is true. Ukraine has suffered a staggeringly high number of losses. At the start of the war, so this is the number I just showed you. Moscow's equipment has also been crushed, according to... This is the exact opposite. The exact opposite has happened. Russia has crushed Ukraine's army. They've slaughtered at least 400,000 of their people, and they're out of tanks. Ukraine is, not Russia. And okay.
By the way, this guy's also selected as a life member of the Council on Foreign Relations.
Yeah, of course. So, in the most recent push, Russia has suffered more than 13,000 people killed and wounded, and lost more than 220 combat vehicles while fighting near Avdiivka and other cities. Russian forces had hoped for a swift breakthrough, but encountered stiff Ukrainian resistance. Ukrainians have moved forces from the south to reinforce its troops in the east. You want to see their new troops? Here's their new recruits. Fresh Ukrainian recruits, ladies and gentlemen. They're getting ready to deploy to the east. There you go. That's what they're down to now. And I'm not kidding. Well, Ukraine, too, has suffered. They have also suffered casualties, Russ. I don't know if you know this. Its losses are not as significant as Russia's.
It's not significant. I see.
It's not? Then we don't have to give them money?
Casualty figures on both sides of the conflict are estimates. Moscow is believed to routinely undercount its war debt, as opposed to Ukraine and the United States, the truth tellers of war.
That's why we could veto oversight, because they don't need it.
Ms. Watson said the push by Russia is related to the funding debates in Congress. No, this article is related to the funding debates in Congress, because Congress isn't going to fund Ukraine war anymore. And so now they have to plant bullshit stories like this in the New York Times. And it's always the YouTubers who are spreading misinformation. You want to get misinformation, you go directly to the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News. That's where you're going to get the bulk of your misinformation. The biggest liars are the government. Second is the corporate news. And a far distant third is anybody else, especially independent journalists.
Just replace Russia with CIA in the article, and you have an accurate article.
The declassified intelligence assessed that Russia seems to believe that a military deadlock through the winter will drain Western. There is no military deadlock. Russia has won the war. It's been won. It's won. It's over. They've got all the territory they want. Russia is closely tracking the debate in Congress. You know who else is? Zelensky.
Yeah.
And this guy tweets out from the article, Ukraine can win the war with more U.S. help.
Jareen Swan said that. I don't think that's a person. I'll bet you anything that's not a real fucking person.
Americans are such suckers. And the people who read the New York Times fall for this.
Yeah, those are I don't think Americans are falling for it, though, generally. I think it's just dipshit.
The ones who read the New York Times do. Go ahead, Russ.
They do. Well, you want to see Orwellian. They've done this pivot, then a pivot again over the course of the last month. You could tell that the word that they were getting from the people on high was, hey, we're going to have to wrap this thing up because we got this thing in Israel going on, and we're kind of warming up for Taiwan. So you need to start putting out the word that it was never realistic. It was never our goal, that we were going to get Russia out completely. You have Morning Joe going out and espousing that, completely the opposite of what they have been saying for 2 years. Oh, yeah, well, nobody ever thought we were going to get every single Russian troop out. And you can tell that they pivoted and decided, no. We're going to keep funding this. And so now the narrative has changed back. For a minute there, they were preparing the brain-dead NPCs, the non-player characters, the PMCs, same people. They were preparing them to accept a peace negotiation. And now I guess Biden or the deep state decided they don't want peace. And now they're once again manipulating their brain dead readers into, okay, well, this is almost won. We just have to stick it out. We can't give Putin what he wants.
It's like they're gonna try and make one last push for funding for the war before Christmas. They're like, you know what? I don't think we gave it our all. Let's just go up is down, black is white, in is out. Russia has suffered staggeringly big losses, and Ukraine's kicking ass. They decided to do again. Up is down, in is out. It is so amazing.
How can you say they just got done telling me that they're about to take over Europe?
Right?
How can you even put a story like this out and have it make sense to anyone? Like,
who wrote this story? Let's see who the tool is. No, he tweeted it out. This was written by Julian E Barnes. I'm sure Julian E Barnes has a Twitter account. I would like to.
I was at Taibbi did an appearance here in New York. I went the other night, and he was talking to people a little bit afterwards, and he actually said there are 9 people in journalism who are just straight deep state plans, and everybody knows exactly who they are. Like, if you see a headline, you could pretty much figure out it's one of those 9 as soon as you read it. I keep meaning to ask him for that list because he said he would give it, the list of who the 9 are. So this looks like he's one of the 9.
So Julian E. Barnes has a Twitter account. He didn't even tweet out this article. And you know why he didn't tweet out this article? Because he knows it's 100% bullshit, and he didn't want to get ratioed on his own Twitter feed. He didn't even tweet it out. I'm at his Twitter. His most recent thing he tweeted out was on the 2nd of December. It says it was about Israel.
What does it say about Israel?
It says, an RNDF 2023 Secretary of Defense says his experience in Iraq demonstrates why Israel must take more care avoiding civilian deaths if it wants to avoid a strategic defeat in Gaza. And then before that, it was November 30th. He tweeted out, keep your friends close, even when they do bad things, the real Biden doctrine. And so it's just a picture of him with Modi. This is what this guy tweets out.
Zelensky's right there in a picture you could use.
And so he did. So Julian E. Barnes, wow, what a tool. He has 39,000 followers on Twitter. So,
really?
So yeah, roughly more than my sock puppet account.
I mean,
which I have 5 of.
Sock puppet.
I had 5 sock puppet accounts.
Yeah.
And then when I switched phones, they all went away, and I don't know what happened.
What the?
And I don't know how to get back. I don't know how to get it back. They go, well, what email did you use? I don't remember what email I used. I don't even remember what the name of the sock puppet account is. I don't even remember.
Oh, I think you say then you realized I don't need to spend this much time on Twitter. So Julian E. Barnes, he's one of those guys who works directly for the CIA and the State Department. He's not really a journalist, which is why he's given front page access to the New York Times at a time when they were trying to push war funding. You imagine if they took that money they spent on Ukraine and gave it to American cities? If they gave $100 billion, that's communism.
$113 billion to American cities. Imagine what they could have. First of all, they could have eradicated homelessness. They could have everybody could have trains and infrastructure, and it would be wonderful. It would be wonderful.
No, it wouldn't. It would be moral hazard, Jimmy.
You know, it costs like $1 billion to build a sports stadium. You know all the jobs involved in that? So they could build, for one Ukraine war, they could have built 113 sports stadiums around the country.
Yeah.
What a jobs program that would have been.
No, I like
Jimmy, you're assuming they're not trying to kill us off. And that just doesn't fit the fact pattern.
They are.
They're doing like how I recycle my plastic bags to hunt sea turtles. They're trying to make, the circle of life. Like the jobs program has to kill people if some people are living from a job. You have to balance the earth.
Yes.
Right.
And so I'm going to show you Jim Sciutto. He's going to be in our next segment. You know what's not going to be in our next segment?
me talking about the big stand-up comedy show we have this Sunday in Oxnard, California. Go to jimmydore.com for tickets. We're doing live comedy shows in Oxnard, California, Venice, California, Palmdale, California, Omaha, Nebraska, Des Moines, Milwaukee, Lansing, Michigan, Bend, Oregon, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, and Boston. Plus, we're going to put a date in Edmonton, Canada, plus Vancouver. See ya. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets.